So I have with me the lovely Tess Townsend and Marie-José Zourbier, who've teamed together to write a 30-minute play called Zoom, which of course is very relevant at the minute, about an amateur theatre club putting on a murder mystery which they've just cast but they can't begin to rehearse because of lockdown. The director decides to rehearse online via Zoom with an assistant working all the sound effects. So we can imagine what that's going to be like at some point. Now, Tess studied drama in Nottingham and has spent about 40 years working on events in the corporate world. Can't believe that, that long. A show that she wrote with her late husband won NODA's Best Show for 2018. Marie is fluent in 3 languages, Dutch, French and English, and she writes short stories. She recently resumed acting after 20 years away and co-directed a Jimmy Chin play, one that hadn't been seen before, called Close Encounters, which was highly commended for Best Show 2019 in the NODA Awards. So first of all, for people who don't know what NODA is, could one of you explain that to me? Tess, can I ask you to explain what NODA is?
NODA is the National Organisation for Dramatic Arts, I think, is that what it stands for? And it's a national organisation to promote all sorts of things to do with dramatic arts. And yes, when we did Henry, the musical, we were nominated. Well, you can't nominate yourselves or put yourselves forward. You have to be chosen for the best show by the reviewers from NODA. And they chose us to be shortlisted for Henry, which was my musical, and also for Marie's show. And mine won Best New Show. And I think yours got a high commendation, Marie. So that was really nice, you know, to get that recognition for new work that hasn't been heard before. In both cases.
Yeah, that's true, because I know about NODA because my brother used to be involved with the dramatic scene, and so I'd never heard of it before, but actually got to know a little bit about it, and it's held in very high esteem throughout the country, and there have been some major stars who've won NODA awards and then gone on to great things. So here you go, this is the start of an international career.
It's certainly nice to have original writing noticed, you know.
I think the other thing they do is give feedback, which is really nice, and it's always obviously like in a positive way. There's never anything negative, but they do tell you if things could be better or improved, and that's really helpful, I think.
Great. So come, ladies, you're here because, well, we're all part of the Elmbridge Arts here, and it's really wonderful to be able to talk to each other in these situations and find out a little bit more about what we all do. But you've actually got something that you've got presently going on, haven't you? So who'd like to tell me a little bit about Zoom, your play?
Well, I'm very happy to talk about that.
Lovely.
We work as a partnership, so it's very much both of us working on plays together. And we started writing, well, we've always had conversations about how funny people's conversations are. So be it, like you were saying, Janet, on the top of the bus or in the hairdressers, but certainly in the Amdram situation. And we've often laughed out loud with things we've heard and then said, wouldn't it be funny if we put this into a play? Well, lo and behold, COVID came along and everybody has been grounded. And it seemed the perfect opportunity to put some of our ideas on paper. And being able to do it by Zoom meant we didn't have to be next to each other or physically with each other. And that's really where it started. So we'd brainstorm. I'd go off and write something. I'd bring it back. Tess and I would just brainstorm again. She'd bring in loads of stuff, and we just laughed our way through the first few weeks of writing this play. I'm not sure, it was very noisy. And it was just great, and it came on paper, and that was it. Over to you, Tess.
Well, absolutely that. I'm a big fan of community theatre, and I've always dabbled in it. And yeah, so the Zoom thing, I just thought, well, what are the theatre clubs going to do? No one can do anything, so let's write a play that they can do on Zoom. And so we did.
Great. Well, I've got some pictures, which it's not, I'm going to share it, and it's going to go in the wrong order potentially. What on earth is going on here?
Oh, well, this will be a top at the top line, second from the left. You will actually see Tess, who you've just been speaking
There
to.
we go. There, yes, I can see it.
Wonderful character in this show, not written for her. This was, auditioned for everybody, and the parts were open for anybody. But it just so happened that she got the part of Pascal, who is a Foley artist in the play, because there's no sound effects. So she does the sound effects. So no doubt in that particular scene, she's done something completely crazy. And everybody is laughing. We're in rehearsal there. And bottom left, by the way, is Chris Cathles, who is he's a wonderful gentleman who volunteered to help us with just putting the slates at the beginning and at the end of the show, because there are no sound effects. And that's, yes.
Yeah, we particularly wanted this to be very doable. We didn't want this to have high-end production values and, clever editing and all of the rest of it. We just wanted it that you could pick it up and do it a bit like when you sit around a table and do a murder mystery or something like that. Just very easy to read and do. That's why we gave all the Foley to one of us, rather than having it going off online and going to an edit suite and adding everything in and being terribly clever about it, because that's a whole layer that people can't necessarily do in a theatre club. So we just did it with Pascal doing all the sound effects with things that she found on her desk and in her house, making it such that everyone can have a go at that.
I think that sounds great. I mean, I read sort of the idea of it, and I just thought that sounded really fun thing, both to perform yourselves and to be involved with, and for an audience to listen to. So, how do they go about sharing this? Is it done yet? Is it out there?
Yes, Tess is our technical whiz because of her profession, so I'm sure she can answer that question there.
Well, we made a Facebook page.
Right.
And so started the Facebook page while we were, which is just called Zoom, a Play for Lockdown. And on the Facebook page, we just started talking about our rehearsals, showing some pictures of us in rehearsal and so on, and saying that the script was available to other theatre clubs, and just inviting people in. And then, of course, they invite their friends, and and it grew. And then we've had 35 different theatre companies around who've all expressed an interest in taking the script from us. And the script is free, so we wanted it to be free and not sort of try and make a quick buck on it or anything like that. We wanted it to be free, and also it has another layer as a fundraiser. So we just said that anybody who uses the script, we ask them to consider making a donation to the Actors Benevolent Fund, who are supporting professional actors and professional stage crew who are out of work at the moment, of which I am one. It's tough for people out there. So luckily it's raised a bit of money for that as well.
Fantastic. And it just sounds like if you were a small group of people that wanted to get together and do your play, that would be possible as well. And the idea,
totally. Yeah.
The idea of donating to charities and to help those of us in the profession who at the moment have zilch work, as we all understand. And it's, it gives you something. I guess that doing it also gave you something, a purpose, something to work towards. Did you find that there were any unexpected or perhaps expected consequences of doing this?
Well, the point of it was that we did want to make a show, but we also wanted it to be readable. So people don't have to act it. They could actually just read it, because they could read it as themselves, and then the murder mystery character that they briefly are, they can do a little bit of have a go at acting. But it's a script that doesn't have any pressure. You don't have to be good at anything. It's just something you could do for a laugh, to raise your spirits. And we've done our rehearsals for the play, and we did it in 2 weeks. So nobody has to learn anything. It just is. It's very silly. It's very British humour, and I think it's just a have a go thing, and it's so inclusive that we thought it was the perfect thing to share, and we were brave enough to do it.
Yes, I mean that's one of the things I was going to say as well. It looks like it's something that's quite diverse, but it's also very inclusive that anybody, literally anybody, can have a go at doing it. And as you say, maybe sitting there with a glass of wine or something and reading through a script sounds like my idea of fun anyway.
Yeah, so you don't even have to be an acting troupe. You could just be a group of mates. You could be, I don't know, a group of tennis players who can't play tennis at the moment. You could be anything, just whoever can. If you can get 8 or 9 people on Zoom, you can do it.
So that's what you need. You need about 9 people.
It's got 8 in the cast, and then the 9th is your director if you choose to have a director. Yeah. Otherwise, you can just go with it by yourselves. But if you want to polish it a bit and do it 2 or 3 times, you might want to have a director on there as well.
Brilliant.
And now we're moving on to a sequel, which actually has 9 people in it.
So that was going to be my next question was, so what is next in this? This has obviously given you a few legs here. So you've decided that you're going to write a sequel because it's actually worked out quite well, presumably.
Well, funnily enough, Tess is just brilliant at the marketing of this in the sense that she's very good on the computer and very good on all those sort of apps and things that I'm not so good at. And one of the things she sent off for required us to think of where the play might go if we would do more scenes. And so we'd already thought of that. We did go off the deep end at one point. We were talking about taking it to Russia and all this sort of stuff. That obviously that's a little.
You were.
Exactly. But I thought, somebody can do a Russian accent. That'll be really good. So, but it did actually lead us to the sequel. But the first thing we needed to know is whether the team would be on board. And to our great joy, because you just never know, they all said yes. So it's happening.
Brilliant. What about in some of your other work? What is in the past? What's been something that either you've collaborated on or worked as separate artists that you've been particularly proud of, or that's been particularly successful? I'm going to ask Tess that first.
As far as Marie and I are concerned, this is the first thing we've written together, Zoom.
Okay.
So much as we talked about writing things before, this is our first thing together. I can't reference anything we've done together before. But for me, probably my proudest thing is Henry, which I've just mentioned before, which was a musical I wrote with my late husband and another musician, Tony Carson, which is a full-length musical about Henry VIII, because I grew up in Elmbridge, as most of us have. And I spent my life in the palace, in and out of the palace, and it was like an extension of our back garden, in as much as that's where we would be sent to go and play. So it was all open to the public and anyone could go, and we just used to run around there. So it's in my blood, really. And so when we decided to write a musical, that was what we wrote it about, and it's been very successful. We've run it twice with local theatre companies in Elmbridge. And it also was just about to open in another theatre company up north in Darlington when COVID hit. So it's kind of on ice up there. But again, it's another piece of community theatre, much bigger, 28 in the cast, but something for the community. And my dream is to have it put on at the Palace.
Well, yes, quite. Yes, I mean, so if they're watching, that's what we want to see. Then we can all come and cheer you on. Then, what about yourself? What's something that you've done, either in the however far back, that really struck a chord with you, I suppose?
Yeah, it's funny really how I came into drama. I suppose at school we did drama and I absolutely loved it, but the way I was brought up, that wasn't an option. So I've gone through all the rest of my life doing other things and loving languages and teaching, and there's that performance bit that goes on in a classroom, as you well know, Janet, because you teach.
Yes.
And I think that's just spilled over, and I've ended up helping people with their projects rather than having my own, and then gradually finding my own feet. And so for me, it's a really delightful thing. And then, when I met Tess, it must be about 10 years ago now, these are things that have surprised us as we got to know each other better, because they were things we didn't know to begin with. So it's all about just, I am involved in a local theatre group, amateur dramatic theatre group, and I love that. And I hope it carries on. You know, who knows what will happen to these wonderful little theatres that exist. So this is for us, this is a kind of means to keep it alive so the audiences stay with us.
Do you think, because I was just talking a little bit before, do you think that there is some value in the fact that COVID has happened and that it's forced us all to focus our attention in a different way? Tess, have you got any thoughts on that?
The values of the creative in COVID.
Yes.
I think, yeah, the gift of COVID for me has been time to do as I please. I normally work full time, and so what a lovely thing that I'm furloughed and I have time for the things that I love to do, and that has given time for this to be created. Without having to squeeze it in at the end of a working day or anything else like that. So I think that's been a gift. And I think a lot of people have done a lot of very creative things through lockdown because they've had the time. And that's been a wonderful gift.
Yes, I mean, it's partly that you've had the time to think, because I was saying the other day to somebody that we've all been so time poor, especially in these last few years. It seems to have got more and more squeezed, and that suddenly creativity happens sometimes it's when you're thinking about something else, isn't it, and you get an idea that comes in and then you go, oh yeah, that would be brilliant. And this has given us all, I think, opportunities to explore territory that maybe we wouldn't have been able to, or would have been put further down the line on the back burner.
I think that's, for example, Marie and I went on holiday a couple of years ago, and we were in a Jeep with a family, and it was so funny. These people were so funny. Of course, we were normal, but they were funny. And,
Yeah.
and we were all the time going, we must write that down. We must write that down. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. But of course we never did, because then the rest of life takes over. But I think, yeah, that's what COVID has done, has given us time to be able to actually cement things and create something. Yes. And all the other actors who are in it have had time to be in it. And, it's been great. Yeah. Otherwise we'd be doing something in our local theatre club, perhaps, or going to see other things at the theatre, but not doing this, that's for sure.
And I think, Marie, so I'm just going to come to you as well, but I want to add on the fact that I think that people have perhaps learnt to value this sort of thing in a way that it was an add-on to their lives before, but it's become so valuable. Marie, what do you...
Yeah, I think you touched on what I was thinking, and that is that, yes, we've all been given, it is a gift to be given the gift of time. Obviously, people's circumstances are different, so for some people that's more worrying than for others. However, we've been given time on top of time, and what I mean by that is, for people who struggled maybe to be still and not knowing what to do for a few weeks, then were given the extra time to suddenly realise that there is something they want to be doing. So when you go into that really still place of really saying to yourself, okay, now what? Because you've done the housework and you've done your garden or whatever it might be, or you've painted your bedroom, or you've actually just been still. There comes a point where you have to, as a human being, you want to do something. And I think that's where people have dug really deep and are already doing things that perhaps they never would have done had they not been given this lockdown time.
Yes, no, I think that's a great answer. I think that's exactly encapsulated it really for many people. And I, as a singing teacher and things, I was saying to you earlier, have found that doing lessons on Zoom, which is a whole new experience on a different planet, but at the same time it's given a different focus to lessons. And I think that Elmbridge, we're very rich, I think, in the arts field here. We've got a lot of people doing a lot of things, and I think that what this may do is introduce us a little bit more to our colleagues who maybe we've heard bits about before, but again have been a bit time poor to go and see their productions or find out a little bit more about them. So my question to you next is about the future of the arts. That's a great big question, isn't it, really? But here in Elmbridge, having said that, do you think that going forward we're going to be okay? I mean, it's just a sort of, you can't possibly answer that in some ways, but do you have an instinct about it, about what's happening? Marie, I'm going to come back to you first.
I would like to think that all those people who have always been interested will carry on being interested, and perhaps even, like you say, look more at things. Because, for example, when the National Theatre started putting something on once a week, I mean, goodness me, a free performance from the National Theatre and all the others who've been doing it, or a concert or a film, whatever it might be. I feel that people who don't have the technology available, that is something that maybe the government should be looking at, that people can be more involved in everything. And if it involves a laptop, that's very expensive. I don't know how people go about that, but I do think people will look more to being entertained more than the TV. And obviously that's been on all the time, but people will be looking for more. And that's where I think all these wonderful little projects there are, all these singing groups. I mean, Tess and I did a singing group with a wonderful young man yesterday or the day before. He's streaming that online. It's all people from all over the world join on Zoom. That's very exciting and very new to me.
Tess?
I'd like to think it's going to be okay. I work in events, and there is a huge number of crew who are very highly skilled and have absolutely no work, and people's circumstances are difficult. So I don't know how the stage managers and the actors, we're all freelancers. People aren't really furloughed because they're self-employed. People live hand to mouth, they'll earn 1 week and that's their rent for next week and so on. So people are living like that. It's never been a profession you could make a lot of money at unless you're a Hollywood superstar or something, It's always been a bit like that. And whatever level your talent, there's a lot of talent about. But if there's nothing to do, it's heartbreaking. And I do think for that cohort of people, it's going to be very, very hard. The same for our little local amateur theatres, our own theatre club that Marie and I both belong to. It's really tricky. They're now looking to put back their play that was furloughed or put on hold just before when we went into lockdown. We had a play opening the following week, and that was then delayed until the summer. It was then delayed until October. Now looks like it's going to be delayed until January. So it's a long time to be dark. And still keep, as Marie says, keep the interest of these people. So we're now looking at things like, could we put something on and stream it? How many people could we actually get into the theatre to social distanced? But it's difficult. It's a very small little theatre club. But I mean, so far, nobody's dropped out of the membership. In fact, the membership is up. So that's really heartening. It's hard to call it. I guess because we don't know when it's going to end and what the restrictions are going to go on to be as the year goes on. Very hard to know and very hard to plan for.
I agree with you, and it just relies on those of us that lead groups. It's going to use all our skill and imagination and inspiration, if you like, to enable these things to carry on in some way. I think one thing I take heart from, as somebody said to me recently, and I did say it the other day, is that the people that are going to the theatre, going to an opera, whatever, or singing in a choir or being part of a group, doing painting or art, whatever it is, they haven't gone away. They are still there, really wanting more and more. They realize the value of being in the space with somebody and experiencing that symbiotic exchange that you get, particularly when you're in a space with somebody else. And so I mean, my hope is, and in fact, it's interesting what you say, Tess, about people, even your numbers growing. I run choir Mamma Vox, and that's a ladies' ensemble in the borough. And we'd just taken some time out actually because it was just getting a bit too much for me. But I'm going to have a meeting with the members online, and already there's about 2 or 3 people who weren't even part of Mamma Vox before that have expressed an interest to join. And so, you know, I think that what you were saying, Marie, about people coming in from different areas and thinking, gosh, you know, actually, I really wanted to do this, and this has given me the opportunity to engage with it at this point in my life. So, you know, fingers crossed for all of us for as we move forward.
Yes, and I also think that whole thing about not having to go somewhere is actually incredibly freeing, because you can be free from 5 till 6:30 or whatever for your class or whatever it is you're doing. But if you then have to factor in getting there and the fact that in the past it would have been rush hour and all that kind of stuff, it allows it to be open to so many more people who might want to dabble and also not be next to real people. It is actually really quite fantastic that you can do this on your own without worrying about other people or whatever it is that does your head in. You don't have to do that anymore. It is an amazing thing, this Zoom, like we're doing now, Janet.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it's actually, you know, I just want to say, ladies, that it's been great to have this opportunity to talk with fellow people. I must say that if I'm in, you know, when things open up again, I'm going to be very careful of my conversation if I see either of you next to me. So, ladies, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Ventures. We will take this and put it up online on the YouTube channel, and you know, we'll add in some graphics about the Zoom. Is there anything else you want to say just as we wrap up?
No, please put a link of some kind so that people know if they do want to get hold of the script, how they can get it.
Exactly.
That would be great, because we're very happy for it to go far and wide, and we hope people enjoy it. And what we would love to hear is their feedback and see their pictures on our Facebook page of what they've done.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Take care, and we shall be in touch very soon.
Thank you.